Hello guys, welcome to Fictional Vortex. So in this video, we will see what if Naruto possessed the Geass of absolute command as the Zero Requiem Naruto XCC, code Geass. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Chapter 1, The Power of Kings. Naruto's fist slammed into the training post, sending splinters flying across the empty field. Sweat dripped from his chin despite the cool autumn air. The war had ended months ago, but peace felt just as exhausting. Damn it. He struck again, harder this time. The wood cracked but held. 3 diplomatic meetings today. 2 arguments with the Cloud Village representative. 1 barely averted incident with Sans trade minister. And that smug advisor from Stone who kept mentioning the necessity of maintaining appropriate military readiness. Everyone talked peace while preparing for war. They still don't trust each other, Naruto muttered, dropping to sit cross-legged on the grass. They don't trust me either, even after everything. The moon hung full and bright above Training Ground 3, casting long shadows across familiar terrain. 3 wooden posts stood before him, the same ones where Team 7 began. Where Kakashi had taught them about teamwork. Teamwork. Trust. The foundations of peace that still felt so fragile. Naruto closed his eyes, feeling the natural energy around him. The village slept. Tomorrow would bring more meetings, more fake smiles, more hidden agendas. He'd ended the war, but maintaining peace might be the harder fight. A sudden shift in the air made his eyes snap open. The hairs on his neck stood up as chakra, no, something different from chakra, surged nearby. He rolled to his feet, kunai already in hand. The air 20 paces ahead shimmered like heat waves on a summer day. It stretched, thinned, then tore open in a flash of crimson light that forced Naruto to shield his eyes. When he looked again, a woman lay crumpled on the grass where nothing had been seconds before. What the? Naruto approached cautiously, senses alert for traps. She didn't move. Long green hair spilled across the ground around her like spilled paint. Her clothes were strange, not the style of any nation Naruto recognized. A white outfit that resembled a straitjacket with buckles and straps, now torn and bloody. Hey, Naruto called, crouching a safe distance away. Can you hear me? The woman stirred. When she lifted her head, Naruto found himself staring into striking golden eyes that seemed too ancient for her youthful face. You. She whispered, struggling to push herself up. This isn't, where am I? You're in Konoha, Naruto answered, still wary but edging closer. The Hidden Leaf Village. The woman's eyes widened slightly. She tried to stand but collapsed, a pained gasp escaping her lips. Blood seeped through her strange white outfit. You're hurt, Naruto said, instincts overriding caution. He moved to her side. Let me get you to a hospital. No hospitals, she managed, gripping his wrist with surprising strength. No records. No questions. Naruto hesitated. Every security protocol demanded he report this immediately. A stranger appearing from nowhere, refusing medical attention, classic infiltration tactics. But something in those ancient golden eyes made him pause. What's your name? He asked. A faint, mysterious smile touched her lips. You can call me CC. That's not a name, it's the only one I'll give you. Her grip on his wrist loosened as consciousness began to slip. Help me hide, and I'll grant you power beyond imagining. Before Naruto could respond, her eyes fluttered shut. Great, Naruto muttered, checking her pulse. Weak but steady. Just what I needed tonight. He created a shadow clone to scout ahead, then carefully lifted the mysterious woman. Whatever she was running from, whoever she was, those were problems for tomorrow. Tonight, she needed help. Decision made. Naruto bounded toward his apartment, the woman's strange words echoing in his mind. Cece woke to the smell of instant ramen and the sound of someone humming tunelessly. She kept her eyes closed, assessing her surroundings. Soft surface beneath her, a bed. Bandages wrapped her torso and arm. The pain had dulled to a manageable throb. "I know you're awake," said a cheerful voice. Your breathing changed. She opened her eyes to find a small, cluttered apartment. Daylight streamed through half-closed blinds. The blond man from the night before sat cross-legged on a chair nearby, slurping noodles from a cup. "Good morning, mysterious lady who fell from the sky," he said with a grin. "Feeling better?" Cece pushed herself up slowly, noting the borrowed t-shirt she now wore. "You bandaged my wounds." "Don't worry, I had a female medical friend do it." I stepped out. He set his empty cup aside. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, by the way. Future Hokage of this village." The name meant nothing to her, but his confident declaration reminded her of another ambitious young man from a world away. "Where exactly am I?" she asked, looking toward the window. The village outside looked nothing like any place in her world. "I told you last night, Konoha, the Hidden Leaf Village. Land of Fire." Naruto tilted his head. "You really don't know? Where are you from?" Cece considered her options. This world was clearly not her own, the energy felt different, the very air tasted strange. The dimensional experiment had worked, but not as intended. "Somewhere very far away," she answered finally. "Somewhere I can't return to yet." Naruto scratched his head. "That's not really an answer. It's the only one I have right now." She swung her legs over the edge of the bed, testing her strength. "Thank you for helping me." "Hey, what else was I gonna do? Leave an injured person in the training ground?" He stood, stretching. "Though I probably should report this to Kakashi-sensei, he's the Hokage now, the leader of our village." "You haven't reported me yet," Cece observed. "Why?" Naruto shrugged, looking slightly embarrassed. "You asked me not to. And..." He hesitated. "There was something about you. I felt like I should trust you, weird as that sounds." Cece studied him more carefully. Bright blue eyes that held both wariness and kindness. Unusual whisker-like marks on his cheeks. And an energy that reminded her of code-bearers, not quite the same, but similarly powerful. "You mentioned granting me power," Naruto continued. "What did you mean by that?" "I meant exactly what I said." Cece stood, ignoring the pain from her wounds. "I can offer you the power of kings, a gift that could help you reshape this world." Naruto's expression turned skeptical. "Right. And why would you give me this power of kings?" "Because I need an ally in this world," she answered honestly. "And because you helped me when you had no reason to." She took a step closer. "But mostly because I sense you carry a burden, a desire to change things that seem immovable." Something flashed in his eyes, recognition, perhaps. She'd struck a nerve. "How would you know anything about me?" he asked, voice quieter now. "I've known many like you across centuries," Cece said. "Those with the will to change worlds but lacking the final tool to do so." Naruto's laugh held little humor. "I've got plenty of power already. That's not the problem." "Then what is?" His gaze drifted to the window, toward the village beyond. "People. Politics. Old hatreds that run too deep." He shook his head. "We fought a war together, saved the world together, and still, everyone's already falling back into the old patterns." Cece nodded slowly. This confirmed her instinct. "That's precisely why the power of kings might serve you well." "What exactly is this power?" Naruto asked, curiosity overtaking skepticism. "It's called Geass," Cece explained. "Each manifestation is different, shaped by the bearer's deepest desires and needs. It grants an ability beyond normal human limitations. Like a Kekkei Genkai." Naruto asked. I don't know what that is, CC admitted. A bloodline ability. Special powers passed down through certain families. Similar, perhaps, but Geass isn't inherited. It's granted through a contract. CC extended her hand. I can give you this power, Naruto Uzumaki. The question is whether you're prepared for what comes with it. Naruto stared at her outstretched hand. There's a catch, right? There's always a catch with mysterious powers. A smile touched CC's lips. Perceptive. Yes, there are costs. Geass grows stronger with use, eventually becoming uncontrollable. And she hesitated. It tends to isolate its bearers. The power to change the world often means walking a lonely path. I'm used to being alone, Naruto said quietly. Then, more resolutely, I need to know more before I decide anything. Why you're here, where you came from, what this power really does. Fair enough. CC lowered her hand. I'll tell you what I can, though some questions I cannot answer yet. Can't or won't? Naruto challenged. Both. CC's golden eyes held his gaze. But I promise you this, I mean no harm to you or your world. I am a wanderer seeking sanctuary, nothing more. Naruto considered her for a long moment, then nodded. All right. You can stay here while you recover. We'll figure out the rest. He glanced at a clock and cursed. I'm late for a meeting with the Sand delegation. There's food in the kitchen. Don't leave the apartment, for your safety as much as village security. He grabbed a jacket hanging by the door. We'll talk more when I get back. Try not to do any more mysterious appearing acts while I'm gone. Despite everything, CC found herself smiling at his departing back. No promises, she murmured as the door closed behind him. Alone, she moved to the window, studying the unfamiliar village with its strange mountain monument bearing carved faces. So different from Britannia or any nation of her world. A new world, she whispered. A new bearer. She touched the bandages beneath her borrowed shirt. Perhaps here, with this unusual young man, things would end differently. Naruto sprinted across rooftops, cursing his lateness. The Sand delegation wouldn't wait, and Gaara had specifically requested his presence for this session. Missing it would be a diplomatic insult he couldn't afford right now. His mind raced faster than his feet. A woman appearing from nowhere, talking about granting powers, calling herself by initials instead of a name, it sounded like the setup for a very bad mission. I should have reported it immediately, he muttered, leaping over a narrow alley. But something held him back. Curiosity, maybe. Or the weariness in those golden eyes that spoke of burdens carried too long. He landed outside the Hokage Tower with minutes to spare, straightening his formal jacket before entering. The receptionist pointed him toward conference room 3 without looking up from her papers. Everyone was used to his rushing by now. Naruto plastered on his diplomatic smile as he pushed open the door. Sorry for the delay. Had some village security matters to handle. 8 faces turned toward him, 3 Sand officials including Temari, 2 of Konoha's council members, Shikamaru looking half asleep, and Kakashi behind the main table. The final face belonged to a man Naruto didn't recognize, middle-aged with steel-gray hair and expensive-looking robes. Ah, Naruto, Kakashi said, eyes crinkling in what might have been a smile beneath his mask. Glad you could join us. We were just introducing Lord Kazuto Hyobi, who's observing these talks on behalf of the Land of Iron. The gray-haired man inclined his head slightly. Uzumaki Naruto. Your reputation precedes you. Something in the man's tone set Naruto's teeth on edge, but he bowed respectfully. Hope it's a good reputation, Lord Hyobi. Legendary, Hyobi replied with a thin smile that didn't reach his eyes. The hero who ended the war. Tell me, how does it feel to have such power at your disposal? To know you could destroy this room with a thought if you wished? An uncomfortable silence fell. Temari's expression hardened. Shikamaru's eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. Naruto forced a laugh. That's not really how it works. And anyway, why would I want to destroy a perfectly good meeting room? Do you know how much paperwork that would create? A few chuckles broke the tension. Kakashi smoothly steered the conversation back to trade agreements between Sand and Leaf, but Naruto caught Hyobi studying him throughout the meeting with unsettling intensity. 3 grueling hours later, they'd hammered out preliminary terms for expanded trade routes that would benefit both villages. As everyone gathered their materials, Naruto felt a hand on his shoulder. "A word, if I may," Hyobi said quietly. "In private." Naruto glanced at Kakashi, who nodded slightly. "Sure," he said, following Hyobi into a small adjoining room. The moment the door closed, the atmosphere changed. Hyobi's pleasant diplomatic mask slipped, revealing something colder, more calculating. "I'll be direct, Uzumaki," he said, voice low. "Your vision for this world is admirable but naive. 5 great nations, working together in harmony. Sharing resources, technology, information." He shook his head. "It contradicts basic human nature." Naruto crossed his arms. "With respect, Lord Hyobi, I think you're wrong. We've already made progress. Temporary alliances born of common threat," Hyobi interrupted. "The moment that threat disappeared, the old rivalries began reasserting themselves. Surely you've noticed." Naruto couldn't deny it. Every meeting felt more strained than the last. Nations that had fought side by side now argued over border patrols and resource rights. "That doesn't mean we give up," Naruto insisted. "Change takes time." "Change takes power," Hyobi countered, stepping closer. "Not just the power to destroy, which you clearly possess, but the power to lead, to compel. To make others see reason when their instincts drive them toward conflict." "I don't believe in forcing people to follow," Naruto said firmly. Hyobi laughed softly. "No. Then tell me, what will you do when the Cloud Village deploys their new weapons division along the Land of Hot Water's border? What happens when Stone refuses to share their mineral resources with nations they've historically viewed as enemies? Will you keep talking while new conflicts brew?" Naruto stared at him. "How do you know about Cloud's weapons division?" "That information is classified." The older man's smile turned predatory. "I know many things, Uzumaki Naruto. I know the Reikage meet secretly with feudal lords to form new alliances. I know Sand has discovered rare earth deposits they haven't disclosed to their allies. I know the Mist Village is developing water jutsu specifically designed to counter Konoha's fire techniques. If that's true, I should report it." "To whom?" Hyobi gestured dismissively. "The fragile alliance that's already fracturing. The leaders who smile at peace conferences while preparing for inevitable conflict." Naruto felt cold anger rising. "What exactly are you suggesting?" "That there are others who see the world as it truly is," Hyobi said. "People with influence across all nations who understand that true peace requires a firmer hand than democracy can provide." He reached into his robes, producing a small scroll sealed with an unfamiliar crest. "When you're ready to discuss real solutions, open this." Naruto didn't take it. "Sounds like you're talking about controlling people, not helping them." "I'm talking about saving them," Hyobi corrected, placing the scroll on a nearby table. "From themselves, if necessary." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Your father understood this, you know. Why do you think he created the Flying Thunder God technique? Not just for battle, but for control. For enforcing his vision of peace." The mention of his father hit Naruto like a physical blow. "Don't pretend you knew my father. I knew him better than you think." Hyobi's eyes gleamed strangely in the dim light. "Consider my words, Uzumaki Naruto. And the scroll, when you're ready." He left without another word, leaving Naruto staring at the innocuous-looking scroll on the table. After a moment's hesitation, he pocketed it, mind racing with questions and unease. Back at his apartment, Naruto found CC sitting by the window, a book in her lap. She'd helped herself to his kitchen, an empty instant ramen cup sat on the counter. "Your world has interesting literature," she said without looking up. "This history of the ninja wars is quite revealing." Naruto tossed his jacket aside. "Yeah, we're a cheerful bunch. Always fighting when we're not making peace to prepare for more fighting." CC marked her place and closed the book. "You're troubled. Met a guy today who basically confirmed all my worst fears about how the peace is falling apart." Naruto dropped onto the couch. "Plus, he knew things he shouldn't know, talked about my father like they were buddies, and tried to recruit me into some shadowy organization that wants to control everything." "Ah," CC nodded. "Politics. Some things are universal across dimensions." Naruto sat up straighter. "Across dimensions? Is that where you're from? Another dimension?" CC considered him for a moment before nodding. "Yes. A world different from yours in many ways, yet similar in others. Humans still fight for power, form nations, wage wars. My world had its own hero who tried to forge peace from chaos." "What happened to them?" Naruto asked. A shadow crossed CC's face. "He died. After becoming the most hated person in the world." "That's not exactly encouraging." "It was by design," CC said quietly. "His name was Lelouch 6 Britannia. He used Geass to orchestrate his own downfall, to become a tyrant so universally despised that his death united the world against his memory." Her golden eyes fixed on Naruto. "He called it the Zero Requiem. One man bearing the world's hatred so everyone else could move forward in harmony." Naruto frowned. "That's messed up. There has to be a better way." "Perhaps." CC moved to sit across from him. "Tell me more about this man you met today." Naruto explained his encounter with Kazuto Hyobi, the veiled threats, the hints about a hidden organization influencing events across nations. As he talked, CC listened without interruption, her expression revealing nothing. "He gave me this," Naruto concluded, producing the sealed scroll. "Haven't opened it yet." "A classic recruitment tactic," CC observed. "Create doubt, offer secret knowledge, position oneself as the only solution." She leaned forward. "This organization he represents, it threatens your vision of peace. If he's telling the truth, they're actively working against it," Naruto said. "Manipulating leaders, keeping old conflicts alive, preventing real cooperation." "And if you had the power to stop them?" CC asked. "To compel truth from lies, to see through deception, to command absolute obedience when necessary, what would you do?" Naruto stared at her, suddenly understanding. "That's the Geass you'd give me? The power to control people? To command them, yes. Once per person, one absolute command they cannot refuse." CC's eyes never left his. "The power of kings, as I promised. The question remains, what would you do with it?" Naruto stood, pacing the small apartment. "I don't know. That kind of power." He shook his head. "No one should have that ability over others. Yet others already wield different forms of control," CC pointed out. "Through wealth, position, blackmail, fear. At least your power would serve a greater purpose." "Maybe," Naruto admitted. "But it still feels wrong." CC watched him struggle with the moral implications. "Consider this, you wouldn't be removing their free will permanently. One command, clearly given, fulfilled to its completion. Nothing more." That still, a sharp knock at the door interrupted them. Naruto signaled CC to stay quiet and moved to answer it. Shikamaru stood in the hallway, expression serious. "We need to talk. Now." "What's wrong?" Naruto asked, blocking the doorway to keep CC out of sight. "Hyobi," Shikamaru said bluntly. I did some digging after the meeting. He's not who he claims to be. The real Kazuto Hyobi died 3 years ago in the Land of Iron. Naruto's eyes widened. Then who, don't know yet. But whatever he's planning, it's already in motion. Shikamaru glanced past him. You have company? Just, a friend visiting, Naruto said awkwardly. Look, give me 10 minutes. I'll meet you at the usual spot. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow but nodded. 10 minutes. Don't be late. And Naruto? He lowered his voice. Be careful who you trust right now. After he left, Naruto turned back to CC, who had clearly overheard everything. Seems your suspicious diplomat is indeed suspicious, she remarked. Yeah, Naruto grabbed his gear pouch from a drawer. Look, stay here. I need to figure out what's going on. CC rose gracefully. Before you go, my offer stands. The choice is yours, but you may find yourself needing every advantage in the days ahead. Naruto hesitated, torn between ingrained moral principles and practical necessity. If what Shikamaru suggested was true, if some hidden conspiracy was already moving against the fragile peace. How does it work? He asked finally. This Geass. CC approached him, stopping just a step away. We form a contract. I grant you power in exchange for fulfilling my wish. Which is? A sad smile touched her lips. That's not for you to know yet. That doesn't sound like a fair deal, Naruto pointed out. It isn't, CC agreed. But I promise my wish won't harm you or your world. Quite the opposite. Naruto searched her face, finding no deception in those ancient golden eyes. Whatever her secrets, he sensed no malice behind them. All right, he decided. If this helps me protect the peace we fought for. I accept your contract. CC reached out, her fingertips brushing his forehead. Then I shall grant you the power of kings. The power of absolute command shall be yours, Naruto Uzumaki. Use it wisely, for each command given cannot be taken back, and each person commanded can never be commanded again. A surge of energy unlike any jutsu Naruto had ever experienced flooded through him. Images flashed through his mind, planets, galaxies, strange symbols, a world not his own. For an instant, he felt connected to something vast and ancient. When the sensation faded, he staggered slightly, blinking to clear his vision. Did it work? You'll know when the time comes, CC said. When you look someone in the eyes and truly wish to command them, the power will activate. She stepped back. Now go. Your friend is waiting, and it seems you have conspiracies to uncover. Naruto nodded, still processing what had just happened. As he headed for the door, he paused. CC, thank you. I think. Don't thank me yet, she replied softly. The path of Geass is rarely one of gratitude. The usual spot was a secluded bench near the Nara forest, far from prying ears and hidden from casual observation by strategic placement of trees. Naruto found Shikamaru already waiting, cigarette dangling from his lips despite his repeated promises to quit. You're late, Shikamaru observed, extinguishing the cigarette as Naruto approached. Sorry. Had to take care of something. Naruto sat beside him. Tell me about Hyobi. Shikamaru produced a thin file. Kazuto Hyobi, legitimate diplomat from the Land of Iron, died during a bandit attack 3 years ago while traveling to the Land of Lightning. Body identified, funeral held, case closed. He flipped a page. Except someone using his name and credentials started appearing at minor political functions about 6 months ago. Gradually worked his way up to higher-level meetings. An imposter, Naruto said. But why? And how did he know classified information about all the villages? That's the troublesome part. Shikamaru closed the file. He's not the only one. We've identified at least 3 other cases of supposedly dead officials reappearing in advisory positions across different nations. all with access to sensitive information. Naruto's mind raced. Some kind of infiltration network. More like a shadow government, Shikamaru said grimly. I've been tracking irregular communications, unexplained resource movements, suspicious coincidences and policy shifts across nations. There's a pattern, but it's deliberately obscured. You think they're trying to undermine the alliance? Shikamaru shrugged. Maybe. Or control it from behind the scenes. Either way, they've penetrated deep into the power structures of all 5 great nations. Naruto thought of the scroll in his pocket. Hyobi tried to recruit me today. Said there were people who saw the world as it truly is and wanted real solutions. Interesting. Shikamaru's eyes narrowed. What did you tell him? Nothing. But he left me this. Naruto produced the scroll. Shikamaru examined it without touching it. That seal, I've seen something similar in old Konoha records. Associated with a group called the Council of Shadows. Sounds cheerful, Naruto muttered. They were supposedly disbanded generations ago, a cabal of powerful figures from across nations who believed they should guide world events from behind the scenes. Shikamaru nodded toward the scroll. We should take that to the cryptology department, have it analyzed for traps. No, Naruto said, surprising himself with his certainty. If this is our way into their organization, we need to play along. I'll open it, see what they want. That's reckless, Shikamaru said, but without much conviction. They both knew their options were limited. Naruto broke the seal, unrolling the scroll carefully. Inside was a simple message: the future requires guidance stronger than democracy can provide. If you share this vision, come to the Shattered Peak tomorrow at midnight. Come alone. Witness the truth before making your decision. Shattered Peak, Shikamaru mused. That's in the neutral territory between fire and sound. Secluded area, difficult terrain. Perfect for an ambush, Naruto noted. Or a secret meeting. Shikamaru stared at the scroll thoughtfully. This could be our chance to identify key members of their organization. Naruto nodded slowly. I'll go. Make contact, see what they're really planning. It's dangerous, Shikamaru warned. If they realize you're investigating them, I can handle myself, Naruto reminded him. And they want to recruit me, not kill me. That gives me some protection. Shikamaru didn't look convinced. At least let me set up surveillance nearby. If things go wrong, no, Naruto interrupted. If they detect any backup, we lose our chance. I need to do this alone. He forced a grin. Besides, what's the worst that could happen? I've faced literal gods, remember? Gods are predictable, Shikamaru replied dryly. They just want to destroy everything. Humans with agendas are much more dangerous. He sighed. Fine. But establish regular check-ins. If you miss one, I'm sending an ANBU regardless of your objections. Deal. Naruto tucked the scroll away. In the meantime, keep digging. Find out how deep this network goes, who else might be involved. As they parted ways, Naruto felt a strange sensation behind his right eye, a brief, burning pressure that faded as quickly as it came. CC's gift making itself known, perhaps. He wondered when he'd need to use it, and whether he'd recognize the moment when it arrived. CC sat cross-legged on Naruto's bed, eyes closed in meditation. The contract had been formed, the power transferred. Now came the waiting, the time when a new bearer either embraced their Geass or became consumed by it. She'd chosen carefully this time. Unlike many previous contractors who sought power for selfish reasons, Naruto Uzumaki seemed genuinely driven by a desire for peace. His power suited that goal. Absolute command could resolve conflicts without bloodshed if used wisely. Of course, so many began with noble intentions. A soft knock at the window interrupted her thoughts. Cece opened her eyes to find a masked figure crouched on the narrow ledge outside. Silver hair peeked above an ANBU mask painted with wolf features. Interesting. She hadn't expected Naruto's village to detect her presence so quickly. CC opened the window. The Hokage, I presume? Or his representative? The former, came the reply as the masked figure slipped into the room with fluid grace. Kakashi Hatake. And you're the dimensional traveler who appeared last night. CC raised an eyebrow. Your intelligence networks are efficient. Or perhaps your arrival wasn't as discreet as you intended. Kakashi removed his mask, revealing a face mostly covered by another mask beneath it. Only a single dark eye was visible. The surge of energy was detected by our barrier team. I'd have investigated sooner, but diplomatic matters kept me occupied. And now you're here to what? Arrest me? Interrogate me? That depends on your intentions. Kakashi leaned against the wall, deceptively casual. Naruto seems to trust you, which carries significant weight with me. However, you're concerned I might influence him somehow, CC finished for him. Manipulate him toward unknown ends. Wouldn't you be? An unknown individual with unknown powers appears from nowhere, makes contact with one of our most powerful shinobi. Kakashi shrugged. It raises questions. CC considered her options. This man was clearly intelligent and perceptive, lying would likely prove counterproductive. I gave him a power, she said simply. One that might help him achieve the peace he seeks. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed slightly. What kind of power? The details aren't important, CC replied. What matters is his character. I've granted similar gifts to others across centuries. Some used it wisely, others, less so. She met his gaze steadily. Naruto Uzumaki is different from my previous contractors. He carries a genuine desire to help others, not just himself. That much is true, Kakashi acknowledged. But power changes people. Even Naruto. Yes, CC agreed softly. It always does. The question is how. Kakashi studied her for a long moment. You're not what I expected. Few things ever are. CC tilted her head. What will you do now, Hokage? Demand I remove this power? Force me to leave your village? Neither, for the moment. Kakashi replaced his mask. I'll trust Naruto's judgment, with verification. You'll remain under observation. Any sign that you mean harm to him or Konoha, and our next conversation will be less pleasant. CC nodded. Fair enough. Though you might want to direct your attention to the man calling himself Kazuto Hyobi. He poses a far greater threat than I do. Kakashi paused halfway through the window. You know about Hyobi? Naruto mentioned him. An impostor with too much knowledge and mysterious backers. CC rose from the bed. In my experience, such men rarely operate alone. We're aware, Kakashi said carefully. The situation is being monitored. Is it? Or are you already compromised without knowing it? CC stepped closer. Check your ANBU ranks, Hokage. The infiltration always starts with those closest to power. Something flickered in Kakashi's visible eye, concern, perhaps, or recognition of a truth he'd suspected but hadn't confirmed. I'll take that under advisement, he said before disappearing into the night. CC closed the window behind him, a small smile playing on her lips. Complex political situations, hidden conspiracies, a hero with newfound power, it was all so familiar. Like watching a play she'd seen countless times before, with different actors but the same essential plot. This time, though, the ending might change. Naruto Uzumaki was not Lelouch 6 Britannia. His path might lead somewhere new, somewhere even she couldn't predict. The thought was oddly comforting. Shattered Peak earned its name, the mountain looked like something had taken a massive bite out of its side, leaving jagged edges against the night sky. Naruto approached cautiously, senses extended to detect any ambush. Nothing. No chakra signatures besides small wildlife. Either the meeting was a false lead, or whoever waited for him knew how to mask their presence completely. The scroll had specified midnight at the peak itself. Naruto checked his position against the stars, still 30 minutes early and at the base of the mountain. He'd climbed halfway up when he felt it, a subtle disturbance in the natural energy around him. Not chakra exactly, but something similar. He froze, scanning the darkness. "I know you're there." Silence answered him. Then, a soft chuckle from the shadows. "Sensor type as well as combat specialist," said a familiar voice. "Impressive, though expected from someone of your lineage." Hyobi stepped from behind a large boulder, appearing completely at ease despite the precarious terrain. Unlike the formal robes he'd worn at the diplomatic meeting, he now dressed in practical dark clothing that helped him blend with the shadows. "You came alone," Hyobi observed. "Good. Trust is the foundation of any worthwhile relationship." "Trust is earned," Naruto countered. "So far, you've lied about your identity and tried to manipulate me with vague threats about the alliance falling apart." Hyobi spread his hands. "Not threats, warnings. And not manipulation, recruitment." He gestured upward. "Shall we continue to the peak? The others are waiting." "Others? Did you think I acted alone?" Hyobi began climbing, clearly expecting Naruto to follow. "The Council of Shadows spans all nations, all villages. We've guided world events for generations." Naruto followed, keeping a cautious distance. "If you're so powerful, why approach me? Why not just keep pulling strings from the background?" "Because true change requires visible figureheads," Hyobi explained. "Symbols people can rally behind. You, Naruto Uzumaki, are the most powerful symbol to emerge in generations. The hero who ended the war." They reached a flat area near the summit where moonlight illuminated a small clearing. Naruto tensed as he sensed multiple presences emerging from concealment, 5 figures in dark clothing, faces obscured by hoods or masks. "The inner circle," Hyobi announced. "Representatives from each of the great nations." One by one, they lowered their hoods or removed their masks. Naruto recognized some faces from diplomatic functions or intelligence briefings, a senior advisor to the Reikage, a member of Mist's ruling council, a renowned merchant from Stone with ties to their Tsuchikage, and a Sand Elder who supposedly had retired years ago. The final figure remained masked. "You claim to want peace," Naruto said, addressing the group. "But you're undermining the alliance from within. Stoking old conflicts, manipulating leaders." "We're creating a controlled environment," the stone merchant replied. "Nations need rivalry to remain strong, to innovate. Without tension, societies grow complacent, weak. And who decides how much tension is appropriate?" Naruto challenged. "You. Those with the wisdom to see beyond village boundaries," the Sand Elder said. "The 5 Kage are trapped in their respective perspectives, unable to make necessary sacrifices for the greater good. The alliance was never meant to last," added the Mist Counselor. "It's already fracturing. We're simply guiding that process toward a more stable configuration." Naruto felt anger rising. Stability through manipulation and fear. That's not peace, it's control. Peace is control, Hyobi interjected. The question is who wields it, and to what end. He stepped closer to Naruto. Join us. With your power and our network, we could reshape the shinobi world into something truly lasting. For a moment, Naruto felt the strange pressure behind his eye again, stronger this time. He could use his newfound Geass, command Hyobi to reveal everything, expose the entire network. But no. One command per person. He needed to understand more before using such a limited resource. What exactly are you planning? Naruto asked instead. What's your vision for this reshaping? The still masked figure finally spoke, voice distorted by some jutsu. A world where power flows from the shadows, not from public institutions easily swayed by emotion and popularity. Where decisions are made by those with the knowledge and will to act decisively. You're talking about dismantling democracy, Naruto realized. Replacing elected leaders with, what? Your puppets. With those who understand necessity, corrected the Reikage advisor. Village rivalries kept in perfect balance, enough competition to drive growth, not enough to trigger war. Resources allocated based on global needs, not local greed. It sounds reasonable until you realize it means sacrificing freedom, Naruto countered. People deserve to choose their own paths, make their own mistakes. Hyobi sighed. Noble sentiments, but history proves their impracticality. Left to their own devices, humans invariably choose conflict. The fourth great ninja war won't be the last unless someone intervenes. Someone like you. Naruto's voice hardened. I've heard these arguments before, from Madara, from Pain. Different words, same premise, people can't be trusted with their own futures. We're nothing like those extremists, the masked figure said sharply. They sought to end choice through force or illusion. We seek to guide, to influence. To control, Naruto repeated. And if someone resists your guidance? A heavy silence fell across the gathering. Hyobi eventually broke it. We prefer persuasion to force, he said carefully. But when necessary, sacrifices must be made for the greater good. Surely you understand this concept, Naruto. You who were prepared to sacrifice yourself to save the village during Pain's attack. The comparison angered Naruto. That was my choice. You're making choices for others without their knowledge or consent. Because most lack the perspective to choose wisely, the Sand Elder insisted. Would you ask a child to decide matters of national security? The general population is similarly unprepared for such responsibility. Naruto looked from face to face, seeing not evil but something perhaps more dangerous, absolute certainty. These people truly believed their manipulations were necessary, their control benevolent. I've heard enough, Naruto said finally. Your council believes it knows what's best for everyone. That the ends justify any means. I disagree. Hyobi's expression hardened. I'd hoped you might see reason, given your unique perspective. A pity. He nodded to the others. Perhaps a demonstration will clarify our position. The masked figure made a hand sign Naruto didn't recognize. Instantly, pain exploded through his nervous system, not physical damage, but pure, overwhelming sensation that dropped him to one knee. A specialized jutsu, Hyobi explained conversationally. Stimulates pain receptors without causing actual harm. Useful for persuasion. Naruto gritted his teeth, fighting through the pain. He could access Kurama's chakra, counterattack, but that might close the door to further intelligence gathering. Better to endure, to learn more. We don't desire your suffering, Hyobi continued. Only your cooperation, or at minimum, your neutrality. And if I refuse? Naruto managed, slowly pushing back to his feet despite the continuing pain. The masked figure intensified the jutsu. This time, Naruto couldn't stop himself from crying out as white-hot agony coursed through every nerve. Then you become an obstacle, the stone merchant said coldly. And obstacles are removed. You'd kill the hero of the war. Naruto challenged through clenched teeth. That would raise questions you couldn't answer. Kill. No. Hyobi shook his head. Discredit? Compromise? Turn public opinion against you? There are many ways to neutralize a threat without creating a martyr. The pain suddenly ceased. Naruto straightened, breathing heavily, eyes locked on Hyobi. This was a test, he realized aloud. You never expected me to join you. You wanted to assess my response, my capabilities. Smart boy, the masked figure said. Though we genuinely hoped you might see reason. Your power combined with our network would have been formidable. You've been watched for months, Hyobi added. Your frustration with diplomatic gridlock, your growing disillusionment with the Alliance's progress, we thought you might be receptive to alternative approaches. Sorry to disappoint, Naruto said, subtly gathering chakra. If they attacked in earnest, he wouldn't hold back. No disappointment, Hyobi assured him. Merely confirmation that we must proceed with alternate plans. He made a dismissive gesture. You may go. We've learned what we needed. Naruto hesitated, suspicious of the easy dismissal. That's it? For now. Hyobi's smile didn't reach his eyes. Consider tonight a preview, Naruto Uzumaki. The council has existed for generations. We'll continue our work with or without you. I'll expose you, Naruto warned. Tell the Kage about your organization, your infiltration. With what proof? The Reikage advisor asked. The word of one shinobi against respected officials across all nations. You'd be dismissed as paranoid at best, deliberately divisive at worst. They were right, Naruto realized. Without concrete evidence, his accusations would sound like conspiracy theories, perhaps even attempts to consolidate power for himself. He needed more, names, documents, something tangible. And there was only one way to get that immediately. Naruto locked eyes with Hyobi, feeling the strange pressure behind his eye build until it burst forth like a dam breaking. His right eye burned with power as a bird-like sigil manifested. Tell me everything about the Council of Shadows, its members, plans, and operations. Naruto commanded, his voice resonating with supernatural authority. Hyobi's eyes widened in shock, then glazed over with a faint red ring around the irises. His expression went slack, all pretense and manipulation falling away. The Council of Shadows originated 3 generations after the founding of the Hidden Village system, he began mechanically. Current membership includes 47 primary agents across the 5 great nations and 17 secondary territories. Our central objective is the establishment of a controlled governance system operating independently of the Kage and Daimyo power structures. Naruto listened, stunned at how completely his command had taken hold. Hyobi continued without pausing, listing names, locations, planned operations, a comprehensive breakdown of a conspiracy spanning decades. The other council members reacted with varying degrees of shock and alarm. The masked figure lunged forward, hands forming signs for what Naruto recognized as a silence jutsu, but too late. And our next major operation targets the upcoming 5 Kage summit, Hyobi continued robotically. Agents will introduce a modified poison to the ventilation system, rendering attendees susceptible to subtle genjutsu influence. While under limited cognitive impairment, they will be guided to sign treaties containing concealed clauses that grant the council oversight authority over inter-village military deployments. Enough. The masked figure slammed a hand over Hyobi's mouth, but he continued mumbling against the restraint. Naruto's mind raced, processing the wealth of information. The Geass had worked beyond his expectations, but now he faced 5 hostile council members, all aware he possessed some unknown ability to compel absolute truth. What did you do to him? Demanded the mist counselor, hands already forming combat seals. Got him to drop the act, Naruto replied, shifting into a defensive stance. Turns out you people are even worse than I thought. The stone merchant drew a blade. Kill him. Now. Before he can report this. Naruto created 3 shadow clones instantly, each moving to engage a different opponent. The original faced the masked figure, who had released Hyobi to prepare some kind of jutsu. You possess a Kekii Genkai we haven't documented, the figure stated, voice still distorted. Fascinating. All the more reason you cannot leave this mountain alive. I've heard that before, Naruto replied, Kurama's chakra beginning to flare around him. Didn't work out well for them either. The battle erupted across the clearing, Naruto's clones engaging the council members while the original faced the masked figure in a clash of raw power. Whatever jutsu the figure employed, it manipulated nervous system responses, pain, paralysis, sensory confusion. Without Kurama's chakra protecting him, Naruto might have succumbed. "Your abilities are impressive," the figure acknowledged, dodging a Rasengan that shattered a boulder. "But you face 5 masters with decades of experience, each selected for their unique skills." A shadow clone dispersed nearby, transferring its memories to Naruto. The Sand Elder had proven unexpectedly adept at wind-style jutsu, slicing through the clone with razor-sharp air currents. "I've faced worse odds," Naruto shot back, creating more clones to replace those lost. The battle intensified, the clearing becoming a chaos of jutsu, weapons, and elemental techniques. The council members fought with surprising coordination, clearly accustomed to working together. But Naruto had faced the Akatsuki, had battled gods and monsters. Their teamwork, while impressive, couldn't match his raw power and battlefield experience. One by one, his clones managed to overwhelm the council representatives. The Raikage advisor fell first, then the stone merchant. The mist counselor proved more resilient but eventually succumbed to a combination attack from 2 clones. Throughout it all, Hyobi stood motionless, still under the Geass command, reciting council secrets to the empty air. The masked figure, seeing the tide turning, made a tactical decision. With a complex series of hand signs, they created a blinding flash of light. When Naruto's vision cleared, the figure had vanished, along with the fallen council members. Some transportation jutsu, Naruto realized. Only Hyobi remained, still under the Geass's influence. Facilities in the northern land of lightning contain research on bloodline extraction techniques intended to transfer Kekkei Genkai abilities to council-selected recipients. Hyobi continued mechanically. Naruto approached him carefully. "Hyobi. Stop talking." The man fell silent immediately, eyes still glazed with the red ring of Geass influence. "Can you hear me? Understand me?" Naruto asked. "Yes," came the flat reply. Naruto considered his options. The Geass command had been to tell everything about the council, an open-ended instruction that could theoretically continue indefinitely given the organization's extensive history and operations. "I need you to focus," Naruto said. "Tell me only about immediate threats, operations planned within the next month that could harm the alliance." Hyobi complied, detailing 3 specific operations: the 5 Kage Summit poisoning plot, an assassination attempt against a key diplomatic figure from Sand, and the planned framing of Cloud Village for an attack on civilian targets near the Land of Fire border. Naruto created a shadow clone. "Go to Shikamaru. Tell him what happened, what we've learned. Have him alert Kakashi-sensei immediately." The clone nodded and departed at top speed. Naruto turned back to Hyobi, who stood placidly awaiting further questions. "This isn't right," Naruto muttered to himself, uncomfortable with the man's complete lack of will. The Geass's power disturbed him more than he'd expected. Seeing someone's autonomy stripped away so completely felt wrong, regardless of Hyobi's own moral failings. Yet the information was crucial. Lives depended on it. One last question, Naruto decided. Who is the masked council member? The one who escaped. Hyobi's expression flickered briefly, the first change since the Geass activated. That information is protected by a mental seal jutsu. Attempting to access it causes neural disruption. As if to demonstrate, blood began trickling from Hyobi's nose and ears. His breathing became labored. "Stop!" Naruto commanded. "Don't try to answer that." Question. The symptoms subsided, but Hyobi's condition had clearly deteriorated. Whatever mental protections guarded the masked figure's identity were serious business, willing to damage the brain itself rather than reveal the secret. What happens now? Naruto wondered aloud. I can't just leave you like this. The decision was made for him when Hyobi suddenly stiffened, eyes widening in pain. More blood trickled from his nose, ears, and now his eyes. Remote activation. He managed before collapsing. Naruto caught him before he hit the ground, but it was too late. Whatever failsafe had been implanted in Hyobi's mind had triggered, causing catastrophic damage. Within seconds, the man was dead, the secrets of the council dying with him. Except for what Naruto had already learned, and what his shadow clone was currently racing to report. Naruto gently laid Hyobi's body down, troubled by the ruthless efficiency of the council. They'd rather kill their own member than risk further information leaks. It confirmed everything he'd suspected about their true nature. As he began the journey back to Konoha, Naruto reflected on his first use of Geass. The power had worked exactly as CC described, one absolute command that couldn't be refused. He'd gained crucial intelligence that might save countless lives. Yet the memory of Hyobi's vacant eyes, his complete subjugation to Naruto's will, left an uneasy feeling. If such power corrupted, as CC had warned, Naruto could see why. The temptation to use it again, to solve problems with a single command, would be strong. One command per person, he reminded himself. A limited resource to be used carefully, strategically. Not a solution to every problem. By the time he reached the village gates, dawn was breaking over Konoha. Naruto found Kakashi, Shikamaru, and a small team of ANBU waiting for him, alerted by his shadow clone. "Your clone told us what happened," Kakashi said without preamble. "We've already dispatched teams to investigate the threats Hyobi revealed." "Hyobi is dead," Naruto reported. Some kind of mental failsafe triggered when he tried to identify the masked council member. Shikamaru frowned. "Troublesome. But we have names, locations, operations, enough to start dismantling their network." "They'll go underground," Naruto warned. "Change identities, alter plans. The masked figure escaped, they'll warn the others." "We're already moving," Kakashi assured him. "ANBU teams are en route to detain the council members Hyobi identified. The 5 Kage Summit security protocols are being completely overhauled." Naruto nodded, relieved that action was being taken. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that they'd only scratched the surface of the council's operations. "Get some rest," Kakashi suggested. "We'll debrief fully this afternoon." "And Naruto?" He hesitated. "This ability you used on Hyobi, we should discuss it. Privately." "Yeah," Naruto agreed, wondering how much to reveal about CC and Geass. "This afternoon." As the group dispersed, Naruto headed for his apartment, exhaustion finally catching up with him. He found CC awake, staring out the window at the sunrise. "You used it," she said without turning. Not a question, a statement. "How did you know?" Naruto asked, dropping heavily onto the couch. "I felt it." CC turned to face him, golden eyes studying his expression. "The contract connects us. When your Geass activates, I sense it." Naruto described the confrontation, the council meeting, his use of Geass on Hyobi, and the man's subsequent death by mental failsafe. "The first use is always significant," CC observed when he finished. "It sets the pattern for how you'll approach the power going forward." "I don't know how to feel about it," Naruto admitted. "It worked, got information we desperately needed. But seeing someone's will completely overridden like that. It troubles you," CC nodded. "Good. When it stops troubling you is when you should worry." Naruto considered this. "This council, they're worse than I imagined. Operating across all nations, manipulating events, willing to kill their own members to protect secrets. Power structures like that exist in every world I've known," CC said. "Different names, same principles. Those who believe they alone understand what's best for everyone. Like your Lelouch's Zero Requiem," Naruto observed. "Deciding to become the world's enemy for the greater good." CC's expression softened. Lelouch made his choice knowing the consequences. He sacrificed himself so others could live in a better world. "There has to be another way," Naruto insisted. "One that doesn't require becoming a villain or manipulating people from the shadows." "Perhaps," CC agreed. That's why I chose you, Naruto Uzumaki. In all my centuries, I've rarely encountered someone with both the power to change the world and the heart to do it for the right reasons. The compliment caught Naruto off guard. I'm not special. I just want people to stop fighting long enough to understand each other. And that, CC said quietly, is precisely what makes you special. She moved to the kitchen area. You should sleep. Events are in motion now that cannot be stopped. Naruto wanted to ask what she meant, but exhaustion overcame him. As he drifted towards sleep, one question remained: had he used the Geass wisely, or had he taken the first step down a path he'd later regret? The answer would come in time. For now, he had exposed a threat and gained valuable intelligence. Whatever came next, he would face it with the same determination that had carried him through every previous challenge. With that thought, Naruto finally succumbed to sleep, unaware of the wheels now turning across the 5 great nations, or of the masked figure already implementing contingency plans the council had prepared long ago. Chapter 2, The Crimson Shadow. Naruto jolted awake to the sound of hushed voices in his apartment. Instinctively, he reached for a kunai before recognizing Shikamaru's lazy drawl and Kakashi's measured tones. Sunlight streamed through the window. He'd slept through the morning. Exactly how this ability works, Kakashi was saying. I've told you everything I know. CC's voice carried that same detached calm Naruto was getting used to. One command per person, absolute obedience, cannot be resisted. Naruto pushed himself upright, running a hand through his messy hair. The events at Shattered Peak felt like a dream: the council meeting, his first use of Geass, Hyobi's death. But the dull ache behind his right eye confirmed everything had happened. You're up, Shikamaru noted as Naruto entered the main room. Good. Things are moving fast. Kakashi sat at Naruto's small table, still in his Hokage robes. CC perched on the windowsill, looking completely at ease despite the interrogation. Shikamaru leaned against the wall, clutching a folder thick with papers. How long was I out? Naruto asked, grabbing a water bottle from the fridge. About 6 hours, Kakashi replied. Not nearly enough, but we don't have the luxury of time. His visible eye shifted to CC. Your friend has been explaining this Geass power to us. Naruto shot CC a questioning look. She merely shrugged. They already knew most of it, she said. Your clone was quite thorough in its report. We've been busy, Shikamaru added, opening his folder. Based on the names and operations Hyobi revealed, ANBU teams moved against 17 suspected council members across all 5 nations. And? Naruto prompted. Mixed results. Shikamaru's expression darkened. We got 7 in custody. 3 committed suicide before they could be captured. The rest had already vanished, including all 5 from the Land of Wind. They're going underground, Naruto concluded. Faster than we anticipated, Kakashi confirmed. Which suggests they had contingency plans already in place. Or someone warned them. Shikamaru closed his folder. The masked figure who escaped last night could have activated some alert system. CC slid from the windowsill, moving to join them at the table. Your enemy is clearly well organized and deeply embedded. Traditional methods won't be enough to root them out. What are you suggesting? Kakashi asked, eyeing her with measured caution. That Naruto's new ability provides a unique advantage. CC glanced at Naruto. One that should be used strategically, not wastefully. Naruto understood her meaning. With the Geass of absolute command, he could extract information no interrogation technique could withstand. But each command could only be used once per person, a limited resource that required careful planning. We need to identify the council's leadership structure, Naruto said, thinking aloud. The ones we've caught are probably mid-level operators. We need the ones pulling the strings. Agreed, Kakashi said. But there's another concern. How do we explain what happened at Shattered Peak? If word gets out that you possess an ability to control people's minds, even temporarily. He didn't need to finish the thought. Such power would terrify both allies and enemies alike. The fragile trust between nations might shatter completely. We don't tell anyone, Naruto decided. Official story is I uncovered evidence through conventional means. That won't work, Shikamaru countered. Too many questions about how you extracted such specific information. Too many witnesses who saw you use something unusual against Hyobi. Then we need a different approach entirely. CC's golden eyes fixed on Naruto. A separation between Naruto Uzumaki, the respected hero, and whoever possesses this ability. Kakashi caught on immediately. A separate identity. Like ANBU, but more independent. Exactly, CC nodded. Create a persona that can operate in shadows, take actions Naruto Uzumaki officially cannot. Something that can't be traced back to him. The concept resonated with Naruto in unexpected ways. He thought of Lelouch's zero identity that CC had described, a masked figure who became a symbol while protecting the person behind it. It could work, Shikamaru admitted. Give us deniability while allowing Naruto to use this Geass without compromising his public standing. But who would this persona be? Naruto asked. What's their motivation supposed to be? Someone with a grudge against corruption, CC suggested. A vigilante targeting those who manipulate from shadows. Your Geass can extract confessions others can't, use that. Kakashi steepled his fingers, considering. This becomes a covert operation, then. Known only to those in this room. Plus Sasuke, Naruto added. We'll need his help to make this work. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? I am, Naruto said with certainty. He's already operating independently, gathering intelligence on threats. And if anyone understands walking a darker path for what they believe is right. It's Sasuke, Kakashi finished with a sigh. Fine. But no one else, not even Sakura or the other rookies. The fewer who know, the better. The decision made, they spent the next hour outlining their approach. Shikamaru would handle intelligence coordination, funneling information about suspected council members through Kakashi. Naruto, as his new persona, would investigate and use Geass when necessary to extract confessions and intelligence. Sasuke, once contacted, would help track the more elusive targets. We need a name, Naruto realized as they wrapped up. Something distinctive. Something that reflects both what you represent and what you can do, CC suggested. Naruto thought of the crimson sigil that appeared in his eye when he activated Geass, and of the beast that had been part of him for so long. The Crimson Fox, he decided. It felt right, connecting to his past while embracing this new power. A name that would become both feared and respected, depending on which side of justice someone stood. The Crimson Fox it is, Kakashi agreed. Now we need to establish your first target and plan the operation. 3 nights later, the Crimson Fox made his first appearance. A tall figure crouched on a rooftop in the diplomatic district of Kumogakure, the hidden cloud village. Unlike Naruto's usual bright orange, this persona wore dark red and black tactical gear with a distinctive mask, a stylized fox design that covered the upper portion of the face, with slits for eyes that concealed the telltale Geass sigil when active. Through the mask, Naruto observed the estate below. Lights still burned in several windows despite the late hour. Security patrols circled the grounds at regular intervals, standard protection for a high-ranking diplomatic advisor. According to Shikamaru's intelligence, Takeda Marino served as special counsel to the Reikage on foreign affairs. He also secretly reported to the Council of Shadows, using his position to manipulate Cloud's diplomatic relations to serve the Council's agenda. Target has retired to his private study, came Sasuke's voice through the small receiver in Naruto's ear. Northeast corner, 2nd floor. 2 guards stationed in the hallway. Sasuke had arrived in Cloud Village that morning, ostensibly to deliver sensitive intelligence to the Reikage. In reality, he'd spent the day discreetly mapping the security of Takeda's estate. Understood. Naruto adjusted his mask. Approaching from the east side. Stand by. The plan was simple but effective. Naruto would infiltrate as the Crimson Fox, confront Takeda, and use Geass to extract information about the council's operations and hierarchy. Sasuke would monitor the perimeter, ensuring they weren't interrupted and providing an escape route if needed. Naruto moved silently across the rooftops, timing his approach between security patrols. When he reached the wall surrounding the estate, he waited for Sasuke's signal. Patrol passing, now. You have 40 seconds before the next line of sight. Naruto vaulted the wall, landing in a crouch among ornamental bushes. He moved quickly but carefully, avoiding motion sensors Sasuke had identified earlier. The open window of Takeda's study beckoned above, a security oversight the man would soon regret. With chakra focused in his feet, Naruto scaled the wall vertically, slipping through the window into a darkened portion of the study. Inside, Takeda sat at a large desk, reviewing documents by lamplight. He was a middle-aged man with graying temples and the look of someone accustomed to power. Working late, Takeda-san? Naruto asked softly. The man jerked upright, papers scattering as he reached for an alarm button concealed beneath his desk. I wouldn't, Naruto warned, stepping into the light. Your guards would find an empty room, and you'd have to explain why you sounded a false alarm. Takeda's hand froze. His eyes narrowed as he took in the masked figure before him. Who are you? How did you get past security? They call me the Crimson Fox. Naruto circled the desk slowly. And security meant to keep out ordinary intruders doesn't work on me. What do you want? Takeda demanded, hand inching toward a drawer that likely contained a weapon. Information. Naruto moved faster than Takeda could follow, suddenly standing directly beside him. About your other employers. The ones who don't appear on official records. Takeda's expression flickered, a momentary widening of eyes that confirmed Shikamaru's intelligence was accurate. Then his diplomatic training reasserted itself. I serve only the Raikage and the Land of Lightning, he stated firmly. I don't know what you're implying. Let's not waste time with denials. Naruto leaned closer. The Council of Shadows. You report to them. You manipulate Cloud's diplomatic positions to serve their interests. You've been doing it for years. Now genuine fear flashed across Takeda's face. That's absurd. There's no such organization. Kazuto Hyobi thought he could lie to me too, Naruto said softly. Before he died. The name hit Takeda like a physical blow. He pushed back from the desk, reaching for the drawer in earnest now. Naruto caught his wrist easily. I didn't come to hurt you, Takeda. I came for the truth. You won't get anything from me, Takeda hissed. The council protects its own. Does it? Naruto countered. Like they protected Hyobi. Or the 7 members currently in custody across different nations. Uncertainty replaced some of the fear in Takeda's eyes. 7. That's not possible. The council is being dismantled, Naruto pressed. Those who cooperate might survive. Those who resist. He let the implication hang in the air. You think I fear death more than the council? Takeda's laugh held no humor. You understand nothing. Then help me understand. Naruto removed his mask, revealing his face. Not the Geass yet, just his identity. Takeda's eyes widened in recognition. Uzumaki Naruto. But you're Konoha's hero. Why would you? Because the peace we fought for is being undermined by people who think they know better than everyone else. Naruto replaced the mask. People like you, who manipulate from shadows instead of working honestly for change. You're a child playing with forces beyond your comprehension, Takeda spat. The council exists because it must. The world needs guidance stronger than the whims of popular leaders or the naive idealism of heroes. Who leads the council? Naruto demanded. Who is the masked member who escaped at Shattered Peak? Takeda's expression changed, a flicker of the same pain Hyobi had shown when asked about the masked figure. Some kind of mental protection jutsu, just as Naruto suspected. You should leave, Takeda said quietly. Before my guards detect you. This conversation is finished. Not quite. Naruto gripped the man's shoulder, ensuring eye contact through the mask's slits. One more question, and I'll know if you're lying. The pressure built behind Naruto's eye, the now familiar sensation of Geass preparing to activate. He'd considered carefully how to phrase his command, what information would be most valuable. Tell me the truth, Naruto said, the crimson sigil flaring to life. Reveal the council's leadership structure, emergency protocols, and your specific role within the organization. The red ring formed around Takeda's irises as Geass took hold. His resistance crumbled instantly, replaced by the same blank compliance Hyobi had displayed. The council is structured in 3 tiers, Takeda began mechanically. The inner circle consists of 7 members, including the leader whose identity is protected by mental seals. Below them are regional directors assigned to each major nation. I serve as Cloud's deputy director, reporting to regional director Yoma Kenji. The information flowed without hesitation, names, locations, communication protocols, contingency plans. Naruto listened intently, memorizing key details. Unlike the open-ended command he'd given Hyobi, this one had specific parameters. Once Takeda finished detailing the requested information, the Geass would complete its task. Emergency Protocol 7 has been activated following Hyobi's compromise, Takeda continued. All regional directors are relocating to secondary safe houses. Communication will be limited to essential operations until the threat level is reassessed. Where are these safe houses? Naruto pressed. Cloud Region's secondary location is beneath the abandoned mining facility in Rakurai Valley, Takeda answered. Other regions' locations are compartmentalized, known only to their respective directors. And your specific role? I monitor Cloud's diplomatic corps, identifying leverage points and manipulating policy decisions to align with council objectives. Takeda's emotionless recitation continued. I currently oversee Operation Severed Ties, designed to introduce friction between Cloud and Leaf over border security protocols. The depth of the council's infiltration was worse than Naruto had imagined. They weren't just observing and occasionally influencing events, they were actively manufacturing conflicts, turning allies against each other through subtle manipulations. When is the next council meeting scheduled? Naruto asked. Regional directors will convene in 17 days at the backup facility beneath Tenzaku Town, Takeda replied. The inner circle will attend remotely via secure communication jutsu. That was valuable, a chance to capture multiple high-ranking council members simultaneously. Naruto filed the information away carefully. Final question, Naruto said. What failsafes protect council members from revealing information under duress? High-level members carry suicide seals activated by specific chakra patterns or code phrases, Takeda explained. Mid-level operatives like myself undergo memory compartmentalization jutsu, attempting to access protected information triggers neural disruption but not death. That explained why Hyobi had died while Takeda merely showed signs of pain. Different levels of protection for different ranks. Takeda's eyes cleared slightly as the Geass command reached its natural conclusion. He'd revealed everything about the council's structure, protocols, and his role as requested. What happened? He mumbled, disoriented. You told the truth, Naruto said simply, replacing his mask. Now you have a choice. When the Requiem security forces arrive in the morning with evidence of your treason, you can cooperate or resist. One path might lead to leniency. Security forces. But you can't prove. Takeda trailed off as Naruto held up a small recording device. Not of the Geass command, that would reveal too much, but of their earlier conversation where Takeda had made damning statements about the council's necessity. Combined with documents Sasuke discovered in your private safe, it's more than enough, Naruto said. The council is finished, Takeda. How you end with it is up to you. From his earpiece came Sasuke's warning, guards changing rotation. Time to leave. Naruto moved to the window, then paused. One more thing. When they question you tomorrow, tell them the Crimson Fox sends his regards. He disappeared into the night, leaving Takeda staring after him with a mixture of fear and dawning comprehension that his world was about to collapse. The Crimson Fox strikes again. The newspaper headline glared up from Sakura's kitchen table 3 weeks later. Beneath it, a blurry photograph showed a masked figure leaping between buildings in Stone Village. The article detailed how an influential merchant had publicly confessed to treason after a visit from the mysterious vigilante. That's the fourth one, Sakura noted, sliding a cup of tea across the table to Naruto. People are starting to talk. Are they? Naruto asked innocently, though he knew exactly how much chatter the Crimson Fox had generated. His alter ego had become something of a sensation across the 5 nations, a mysterious figure exposing corruption that official channels somehow missed. Don't play dumb, Sakura chided. It's all anyone's talking about in intelligence circles. Some masked vigilante appearing out of nowhere, somehow extracting confessions from people who've evaded detection for years. She studied him over the rim of her cup. Seems convenient, don't you think? Naruto shrugged, maintaining his cover. Maybe this fox person just has good sources. Maybe. Sakura didn't sound convinced. Kakashi-sensei has been surprisingly quiet about the whole thing. Almost like he knows more than he's saying. The Hokage probably has bigger concerns than some random vigilante, Naruto deflected. Right. Sakura's green eyes narrowed slightly. Like the fact that you've been different lately. Distracted. Missing team dinners. Spending time with that strange woman who showed up out of nowhere. Ah. So that was the real purpose of this impromptu tea invitation. Sakura was fishing for information about CC, she's just a friend who needed help, Naruto said carefully. Nothing more complicated than that. A friend no one knew anything about before she appeared, Sakura pressed. Who doesn't interact with anyone but you. Who has no background, no history in any village. I didn't realize you'd been investigating her, Naruto said, an edge creeping into his voice. I haven't been. Sakura set her cup down. But I care about you, Naruto. We all do. And suddenly you're different, more distant, more secretive. Then this Crimson Fox appears with abilities nobody can explain, and you don't seem surprised at all. The accusation hung between them. Naruto could see the concern beneath Sakura's suspicion, genuine worry for him. It would be so easy to tell her everything, to bring her into the small circle who knew the truth. But that would put her at risk. The more people who knew about Geass, about his connection to the Crimson Fox, the greater the danger to everyone. I appreciate the concern, he said finally. But I'm fine. Just busy with diplomatic work, trying to keep the alliance from falling apart at the seams. That's another thing, Sakura continued. These people the Crimson Fox is exposing, they're all connected to some conspiracy against the alliance, right? How does he know who to target? How does he get them to confess? Maybe they're just guilty, Naruto suggested, finishing his tea. Maybe they recognize it's better to come clean than wait to be exposed. Or maybe there's something else going on, Sakura countered. Something you know about. Naruto stood, forcing a casual smile. If I knew anything about a cool masked vigilante jumping around on rooftops, don't you think I'd be bragging about it? He glanced at the clock. Sorry, but I have a meeting with Kakashi-sensei in 20 minutes. Thanks for the tea. Sakura followed him to the door. Naruto, she said softly. Whatever you're involved in, just be careful, okay? And remember you have friends who would help if you asked. The genuine concern in her voice made his deception feel worse. I know, he said, meaning it. See you at Ichiraku tomorrow night. I'll be there, Sakura promised. Assuming you actually show up this time. The gentle rebuke stung because it was deserved. Naruto had been so focused on his Crimson Fox operations that he'd neglected his regular life, his friends. The separation between his public and secret identities was taking a toll he hadn't anticipated. As he walked toward the Hokage Tower, Naruto reflected on the past 3 weeks. The Crimson Fox had successfully exposed 7 council members across 4 nations, each operation more daring than the last. Between Geass commands and evidence gathered by Sasuke, they'd compiled an extensive map of the council's network. Yet for every operative they identified, 2 more seemed to emerge from the shadows. The council had penetrated deeper than anyone realized, with connections to feudal lords, business leaders, and even religious institutions. Dismantling such an extensive conspiracy would take months, perhaps years. And the masked leader remained elusive. Every attempt to learn their identity encountered the same mental barriers, operatives suffering neural damage rather than revealing that particular secret. Lost in thought, Naruto nearly bumped into someone on the street. Still not watching where you're going, I see. Naruto looked up to find Hinata smiling at him. Her long dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she carried a stack of medical scrolls, probably heading to the hospital for her medical ninjutsu training. Hinata. Sorry, I was thinking about. He trailed off, realizing he couldn't actually tell her what occupied his thoughts. Important Hokage training matters, she suggested, a teasing lilt in her voice. Something like that, Naruto agreed, grateful for the easy explanation. Hinata's smile faded slightly as she studied his face. You look tired, Naruto-kun. Are you sleeping enough? He wasn't. Between Crimson Fox operations and strategy sessions with Shikamaru, Kakashi, and Sasuke, sleep had become a luxury rather than a necessity. I'm fine, he assured her. Just busy with alliance stuff. Everyone's talking about this Crimson Fox person, Hinata mentioned, shifting her scrolls to her other arm. Father thinks it might be an ANBU operation that went public. Kiba's convinced it's some rogue ninja with a vendetta. What do you think? Naruto asked, genuinely curious about her perspective. Hinata considered for a moment. I think someone decided official channels weren't enough to fight whatever threat they discovered. Her pale eyes met his directly. Someone who cares deeply about protecting people, even if it means working outside the system. Her insight cut close to the truth, uncomfortably so. Had she somehow guessed his involvement? Hinata had always been perceptive, especially when it came to him. Interesting theory, Naruto managed. Anyway, I should let you get to the hospital. Those scrolls look heavy. They are, Hinata admitted. But before you go, Kurenai-sensei is hosting a dinner tomorrow for everyone. It would mean a lot if you could come. We've hardly seen you lately. Guilt twisted in Naruto's stomach. He'd been neglecting not just Sakura and his other friends, but Hinata too. Their relationship had been evolving into something deeper before his Crimson Fox activities began consuming his time. I'll be there, he promised, meaning it. Save me a seat. Hinata's smile returned, brightening her entire face. Always. As she continued toward the hospital, Naruto felt the weight of his dual identity more keenly. The people he cared about deserved better than half-truths and unexplained absences. But involving them meant putting them at risk, both from the council and from the knowledge of Geass itself. CC had warned him that the power of kings often isolated its bearers. Now he understood why. The Tanzaku town operation is our best opportunity to cripple their command structure, Sasuke argued, pointing to a detailed map spread across Kakashi's desk. Regional directors from all 5 nations in one location, we may not get another chance like this. It's also almost certainly a trap, Shikamaru countered. After the Fox's recent activities, they'd be fools not to expect us. Trap or not, we need to act, Naruto said. According to Takeda's information, they're planning to replace the Mizukige's advisors with their own people next month. If that happens, they'll have direct influence over one of the 5 Kage. The strategy session had been underway for hours in Kakashi's private office. Maps, intelligence reports, and profiles of known council members covered every available surface. CC sat quietly in the corner, observing but rarely commenting. The meeting is 3 days from now, Kakashi noted. Do we have enough confirmed intelligence to justify such a high-risk operation? 3 separate sources have confirmed the location and time, Sasuke replied. The facility beneath Tenzaku Town exists, I've verified it personally. With what level of security? Shikamaru asked. Significant, Sasuke admitted. Multiple barrier jutsu, sensor-type ninja on rotation, escape tunnels leading in 3 directions. And potential backups from each village if things go wrong, Shikamaru added. We'd be dealing with elite Jounin-level opponents in an environment they control. We've faced worse odds, Naruto pointed out. True, Kakashi acknowledged. But previous operations targeted isolated individuals. This would be a direct strike against their leadership gathered in one place. They'll be prepared for trouble. The room fell silent as everyone considered the risks. Finally, CC spoke from her corner. You're overthinking this, she said calmly. The Crimson Fox doesn't need to capture all of them, just one. Preferably the highest-ranking member present. All eyes turned to her. Explain, Kakashi prompted. Use their security against them, CC suggested. Create a diversion that triggers their evacuation protocol. During the chaos, the Fox intercepts whichever leader takes the primary escape route. One target, isolated from backup, Sasuke nodded slowly. More manageable. And with Geass, we could extract information about their entire operation, Naruto added, seeing the strategy's potential. Shikamaru scratched his chin thoughtfully. It could work. We'd need to map all escape routes, predict which would be considered primary. I can handle that, Sasuke said. I'll leave tonight, establish surveillance. I'll coordinate with our ANBU assets near Tenzaku Town, Kakashi decided. They can create the diversion without being connected to Konoha officially. The plan came together quickly after that, roles assigned, contingencies established, communication protocols agreed upon. The operation would be their most ambitious yet, potentially exposing the entire upper echelon of the Council of Shadows. As they wrapped up, Kakashi held Naruto back after the others left. A moment, the Hokage said, his visible eye serious. There's something we need to discuss. What is it? Naruto asked, sensing bad news. Kakashi picked up a sealed file from his desk. Intelligence from Sand. They've identified unusual chakra signatures matching the Crimson Fox's appearances in 3 different villages. Naruto tensed. They can track the fox. Not precisely, Kakashi clarified. But they've detected an energy pattern they can't identify, something that doesn't register as normal chakra. It appears briefly during each Crimson Fox sighting, then vanishes. The Geass, Naruto realized. Sand Sensor Ninja must be detecting the otherworldly power when he activated it. Probably, Kakashi agreed. Which means others might detect it too, given time. The Crimson Fox's activities are drawing more attention with each operation. What are you suggesting? Naruto asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. That after Tenzaku Town, the fox needs to become more selective in his appearances, Kakashi said carefully. Perhaps even, retire for a while. The suggestion made strategic sense, but Naruto bristled at the idea of stopping when they were making progress. We can't back off now. The council is vulnerable for the first time in generations. And they're adapting, Kakashi countered. Changing protocols, enhancing security. The element of surprise won't last forever. So we press the advantage while we have it, Naruto insisted. Kakashi sighed, his expression softening. Naruto. I'm also concerned about you. This dual identity, the secrets you're keeping from your friends, the strain of using Geass, it's taking a toll. I can see it. Naruto wanted to deny it but couldn't. The constant vigilance, the lies to those he cared about, the weight of his growing reputation as the Crimson Fox, all of it wore on him more than he admitted. After Tenzaku Town, Kakashi continued, take some time. Reconnect with your friends. Remember why we're fighting in the first place. Put that way, Naruto found it hard to argue. Alright, he conceded. After we deal with the regional directors, I'll scale back the Fox's activities. Kakashi nodded, seemingly satisfied. Good. Now go get some rest. You'll need it for what's coming. The underground facility beneath Tenzaku Town hummed with activity. Through specialized binoculars, Naruto observed council guards patrolling the perimeter of what appeared to be an ordinary warehouse. According to Sasuke's intelligence, the actual meeting would take place 3 levels below ground, in chambers accessible only through sealed entrances. Target identified, came Sasuke's voice through the communicator. Stone Regional Director arriving now. That makes 4, only waiting on Cloud. Naruto adjusted his position on the rooftop overlooking the warehouse district. From this vantage point, he could see all approaches to the facility while remaining hidden from street level. His Crimson Fox gear felt heavier tonight, perhaps because of the significance of the operation, or perhaps due to Kakashi's concern still weighing on his mind. Cloud Director approaching from the east, Sasuke reported. Moving with 2 guards. Timeline consistent with intelligence. All targets accounted for, Naruto confirmed. Proceeding with Phase 1. He signaled to a shadow clone positioned near the ANBU team Kakashi had arranged. Within minutes, chaos erupted across Tenzaku Town, a series of controlled explosions at empty buildings, strategically placed to create maximum disruption without casualties. Emergency protocols would force civilian evacuation away from the warehouse district, leaving the area clear for their operation. As expected, activity around the warehouse instantly shifted. Guards moved into defensive formations, and sensor types spread out to identify the threat. Security protocols activated, Sasuke confirmed. Internal sensors show movement toward escape routes. Which one's primary? Naruto asked, ready to move. Eastern Tunnel. 2 directors already moving that way, likely including the ranking member. Naruto leapt from his position, moving swiftly across rooftops toward the eastern side of the complex. The Crimson Fox's reputation now worked in his favor. Council members would be looking for a frontal assault, not a precision interception at their evacuation point. The eastern tunnel emerged in an abandoned bathhouse 3 blocks from the warehouse. Sasuke had mapped it thoroughly, identifying the optimal interception point, a narrow passage where security would be thinnest as they rushed their leaders to safety. Naruto reached the bathhouse just as tremors shook the building, the underground passage being accessed. He slipped inside, positioning himself in the shadows near where the tunnel would emerge. Minutes later, a section of flooring slid aside, revealing a dimly lit passage. 2 guards emerged first, scanning the bathhouse for threats. Finding none visible, they signaled behind them. 3 figures climbed from the tunnel, 2 men and a woman, all dressed in nondescript clothing that would let them blend with civilians once outside. Based on Sasuke's intelligence, Naruto identified them immediately, the regional directors from Stone and Mist, accompanied by the deputy director from Sand. But where was the Cloud director? Intelligence had confirmed 5 regional directors would attend, but only 3 had taken this escape route. No time to reconsider. If the plans had changed, he needed to adapt. Naruto moved as the group headed for the bathhouse exit, dropping a smoke bomb that filled the space instantly. The guards reacted professionally, moving to protect their charges, but they were prepared for conventional attacks. They couldn't counter what came next, shadow clones appearing simultaneously from multiple directions, creating confusion in the limited visibility. Naruto targeted the Stone director specifically, having identified him as the most senior present. As guards engaged his clones, he maneuvered behind the man, striking precisely at pressure points to incapacitate without permanent injury. Secure the package, Naruto instructed a clone as he subdued the struggling director. Rendezvous at point B. The clone nodded, creating a smoke screen to cover their exit as Naruto hauled the stone director toward a pre-prepared safe house several blocks away. Behind them, the remaining council members and their guards would regroup, eventually realizing one of their number had been separated during the chaos. By then, it would be too late. Yasuki Hideo, Regional Director for Stone Territory, Naruto read from the file Shikamaru had compiled. Former ANBU Commander, officially retired 12 years ago. Unofficially recruited by the Council of Shadows to oversee their operations throughout the land of Earth. The man sat bound to a chair in the safe house's basement, glaring defiantly despite his situation. Unlike lower-ranking council members they'd captured, Hideo showed no fear, only calculation, as if measuring his chances even now. The Crimson Fox, Hideo said flatly. I wondered when you'd come for me. You know why you're here, Naruto replied, voice altered by a jutsu to prevent recognition. To interrogate me, presumably, Hideo shrugged despite his bonds. Save your effort. I've endured worse than you can imagine during my ANBU days. And anything truly important is protected by seals you can't break without killing me. I don't need to break seals, Naruto approached slowly. Just ask the right questions. Through the mask slits, he studied the man carefully. Regional directors would have stronger mental protections than lower operatives. He needed to phrase his Geass command precisely to extract maximum information while avoiding triggering fatal safeguards. The council's work spans generations, Hideo said unexpectedly. Remove one leader, 10 more emerge. We are the foundation beneath the visible world, the stability that allows your fragile peace to exist at all. Strange definition of stability, Naruto countered. Manufacturing conflicts, manipulating leaders, undermining the alliance that ended the war. The alliance is a child's drawing on tissue paper, Hideo scoffed. Beautiful but utterly fragile. Real peace requires structure, control, measured tension between powers. Controlled by you, Naruto noted. How convenient. By those with the wisdom and will to make necessary decisions, Hideo corrected. Your Hokage understands this better than most, why else would he sanction your activities while maintaining public deniability? The comparison angered Naruto, but he kept his focus. Enough philosophy. Tell me about your leader, the one who wears a mask even among council members. As expected, Hideo's expression tightened with pain. Blood trickled from his nostril, the mental seals activating to prevent disclosure. That particular question gets the same result every time, Naruto observed. Which makes me even more curious about who's behind that mask. Some secrets are worth dying to protect, Hideo managed through clenched teeth. Then let's try something different. Naruto leaned closer, feeling Geass building behind his eye. Something even your seals can't block. The crimson sigil activated as he locked eyes with Hideo through the mask slits. Reveal all council operations targeting the 5 Kage directly, including planned assassinations, manipulations, and infiltrations. The red ring formed in Hideo's eyes as Geass took hold. His resistance crumbled, replaced by the now familiar blank compliance. Operation Shadow Crown targets the 5 Kage summit scheduled for next month, he began mechanically. Phase 1 involves compromising security through bribed staff members. Phase 2 replaces the Mizuki's food taster with our agent. Phase 3 delivers a specialized poison during the 3rd day's luncheon. Naruto listened intently as Hideo detailed 3 separate plots against the Kage, not just the Mizuki but contingency plans for the Tsuchikage and Reikage as well. The council hadn't planned to kill them, merely incapacitate them long enough to replace key advisors with their own people. The Hokage is considered resistant to direct manipulation due to his intelligence network, Hideo continued. Alternative approach involves compromising his ANBU captain through blackmail regarding family members in T country. Each revelation painted a darker picture of the Council's reach and ambition. They weren't content with influencing from shadows anymore, they were moving to directly control the 5 great nations by essentially performing a silent coup against their leadership. Who devised these operations? Naruto asked, hoping to circumvent the mental seals by approaching the leader question indirectly. All high-level operations originate from the leader, Hideo replied. Specific tactical elements are developed by regional directors based on local intelligence. When did you last communicate directly with the leader? 3 days ago via secure communication jutsu, Hideo answered. Standard operational update and briefing for tonight's meeting. What location was the leader transmitting from? Here Hideo hesitated, blood beginning to trickle from his nose again. Unknown. Communication jutsu masks point of origin. The mental seals were activating despite Geass. Naruto changed tactics. What is the Council's ultimate objective? He asked. The end goal of all these operations? The unification protocol, Hideo stated. Gradual centralization of power across all shinobi. Nations under Council guidance. 5-stage process currently in Phase 3. Explain these phases, Naruto pressed. Phase 1, infiltration of key positions in all major villages. Completed 15 years ago. Phase 2, creation of controlled tensions to justify security expansion. Completed 8 years ago. Phase 3, selective replacement of leadership advisors with council loyalists. Currently at 60% completion. Naruto felt a chill despite the warm room. And Phase 4. Transition of military authority to council-controlled security apparatus independent of village structures. Estimated timeline, 3 years from now if current operations succeed. And Phase 5. The final phase. Dissolution of the hidden village system, Hideo said tonelessly. Replacement with unified shinobi force under direct council command. Estimated timeline, within 1 decade. The scope of the plan staggered Naruto. Not just manipulation or control, the complete restructuring of the shinobi world under an unelected, unseen authority. Everything he and his friends had fought for during the war, independence, cooperation between equal partners, peace based on mutual respect, would be systematically dismantled. How many people know about the full unification protocol? Naruto asked. Only the inner circle and regional directors, Hideo replied. Lower ranks are given operational objectives without context. The Geass command had nearly run its course, Hideo had revealed all council operations targeting the Kage as instructed. Naruto needed to extract any final crucial information before it completed. Where and when will the inner circle next meet in person? He asked quickly. The inner circle never gathers physically, Hideo answered. Too great a security risk. All meetings conducted via secure communication jutsu from separate locations. Smart, Naruto had to admit. No single point of vulnerability to target. Final question, Naruto said, sensing the Geass weakening. What is the council's greatest vulnerability right now? Blood trickled more heavily from Hideo's nose as competing forces, the Geass compelling truth and the mental seals protecting certain information, warred within his mind. The succession plan, he managed before convulsing in pain. If the leader falls, transition period of, vulnerable. The man's eyes rolled back as he lost consciousness, the strain too great for his system to handle. Unlike Hyobi, he wasn't dead, just overwhelmed by the conflict between Geass and mental protections. Naruto stepped back, processing what he'd learned. The council's ambitions were far greater than they'd suspected, with a methodical plan already well underway to essentially conquer the shinobi world from within. And while the leader remained protected by seemingly impenetrable mental seals, Hideo had revealed a potential weakness, some vulnerability during leadership transition. He activated his communicator. Target secured. Obtained critical intelligence regarding operations against all 5 Kage. Extraction required. Understood, came Sasuke's voice. Rendezvous at secondary location in 30 minutes. Situation at primary site contained but complex. Details when secure. Something in Sasuke's tone suggested complications. Naruto secured Hideo with specialized restraints and a sedation jutsu that would keep him unconscious during transport. Whatever had happened at the warehouse facility, they had achieved their primary objective, and uncovered a conspiracy far more dangerous than they'd imagined. It was a setup, Sasuke explained later that night, as they gathered in Kakashi's office. The real meeting was held elsewhere. What we raided was essentially bait. Explain, Kakashi prompted, expression grave. The regional directors we identified were present, but they were discussing routine matters only, Sasuke continued. Nothing critical. Meanwhile, our sources indicate the actual strategic meeting occurred simultaneously in Iron Country. They anticipated us, Shikamaru concluded. Changed plans at the last minute, but let enough legitimate activity proceed to make the decoy convincing. They're adapting, CC observed from her position near the window. Learning from each encounter with the fox. Naruto paced restlessly. But we still got Hideo. And what he revealed about their unification protocol changes everything. He briefed them on what the Geass had extracted, the 5-phase plan to gradually replace the hidden village system with a council-controlled unified force. The targeted operations against the Kage. The structure that kept even high-level members from knowing certain critical information. This goes beyond corruption or manipulation, Kakashi said when Naruto finished. It's a comprehensive plan to dismantle the entire shinobi world order. And they're already in Phase 3, Shikamaru added grimly. With most of Phase 1 and 2 complete years ago. We've been fighting the symptoms without recognizing the disease. At least we know their immediate plans, Naruto pointed out. We can protect the Kage at the upcoming summit, identify the compromised ANBU captain, intercept their agents before they can poison anyone. Reactively, Sasuke noted. Always one step behind. We need to target their leadership directly, this masked leader who orchestrates everything. Impossible with our current intelligence, Shikamaru countered. Every attempt to identify them triggers mental seals that kill or incapacitate the subject. Even Geass can't bypass that protection completely. The room fell silent as they considered the challenge. The council had operated for generations, planning meticulously, building layers of security and misdirection. Even with Naruto's Geass giving them unprecedented access to internal information, dismantling such an organization would take time they might not have. Hideo mentioned something about a succession plan, Naruto recalled. Said it was their greatest vulnerability, that if the leader falls, there's some transition period where they're vulnerable. Suggesting the leader isn't immortal, CC mused. Or at least, they plan for that possibility. Could be age, illness, or simply contingency planning, Kakashi suggested. But it gives us something to investigate. I'll have our intelligence networks focus on any unusual medical consultations among high-profile figures, Shikamaru offered. Anyone receiving specialized treatment or showing signs of declining health. And I'll continue tracking their communications, Sasuke added. If they're planning a leadership transition, there should be patterns we can identify. Kakashi nodded. Meanwhile, we need to secure the 5 Kage summit. I'll speak with the other Kage directly, privately, about the threat. We'll heighten security without revealing the full extent of our knowledge. And the Crimson Fox? Naruto asked. Needs to become more unpredictable, Kakashi decided. They're starting to anticipate your moves, set traps. Change tactics, target unexpected locations. Keep them off balance while we search for their leader. The strategy session continued late into the night, adjusting plans based on the new intelligence. By the time they finished, a comprehensive approach had been developed, defensive measures to counter immediate threats while offensive operations continued against the council's infrastructure. As the meeting broke up, CC motioned for Naruto to join her at the window. Your use of Geass is becoming more precise, she observed quietly. More strategic. I'm learning, Naruto acknowledged. Trying to make each command count since I only get one per person. Be careful, CC warned. The more effective you become, the greater the temptation to rely on that power for everything. I know my limits, Naruto assured her. Do you? CC's golden eyes studied him. You've used Geass 8 times now. Each time for a worthy cause, yes, but each time making it easier to justify the next use. Naruto bristled slightly. What are you saying? That I should stop using it when it's our most effective weapon against the council. I'm saying power shapes its wielder as much as its wielder shapes the world through power, CC replied calmly. Geass fulfills desire, the desire for truth, for control, for change. But desire is bottomless, Naruto. There's always another truth to uncover, another person to command, another situation that seems to require intervention. The warning resonated uncomfortably. Naruto had noticed how his thinking had shifted over the past weeks, how quickly he assessed whether Geass could solve a problem, how naturally he considered which command would extract the most useful information. I'm not using it carelessly, he insisted, more to himself than to her. No, CC agreed. But you're using it more readily. And each time, the voice that questions whether you should grows a little quieter. Before Naruto could respond, Kakashi approached them. One more thing, the Hokage said. The council will be looking for patterns, trying to identify the fox's real identity. You need to establish clear alibis during future operations. How? Naruto asked. I need to be there personally to use Geass. By being seen in 2 places at once, Kakashi explained. Your shadow clones can maintain your public presence while you operate as the fox. But for critical situations, we need something more convincing. Like what? Like me, CC suggested. I can appear publicly with you during important operations, providing an unquestionable alibi. Naruto considered this. Having CC openly accompany him around Konoha would indeed strengthen his cover, and explain her continued presence in his life. Not a bad idea, he agreed. Though people are already gossiping about you. Let them, CC said with a hint of amusement. A mysterious foreign woman spending time with the village hero makes for an excellent distraction from your other activities. It also addresses another concern, Kakashi added. Your friends have noticed your absence, your distraction. Spending more visible time in the village, even if it's a clone, will help maintain your cover and your relationships. Naruto thought of Hinata, of the dinner he promised to attend. Of Sakura's worried questions about his changing behavior. Of all the connections he'd neglected while pursuing the council. You're right, he admitted. I need to rebalance things before suspicions grow. As they left the Hokage Tower, Naruto felt the weight of his dual identity more keenly than ever. The Crimson Fox had become a symbol of justice to some, a terrorist to others. Meanwhile, Naruto Uzumaki was increasingly viewed as distracted, secretive, changing in ways his friends couldn't understand. Reconciling these diverging paths would only grow more difficult as the conflict with the council intensified. But abandoning either one wasn't an option, not with the future of the shinobi world at stake. The Crimson Fox's operations evolved over the following weeks. Instead of direct confrontations, Naruto employed more subtle approaches, using Geass selectively on targets who could lead to others, gathering intelligence before striking, varying his patterns to avoid predictability. The council responded by tightening security around key members and accelerating certain operations, a sign they felt threatened but weren't backing down. A dangerous dance developed, with both sides adapting to the other's moves in real time. Meanwhile, Naruto maintained his public persona more deliberately. He attended social gatherings, participated in diplomatic functions, trained with friends, often via shadow clone, but sometimes in person when operations allowed. He made a particular effort with Hinata, whose quiet concern had shifted to gentle support without pressing for explanations he couldn't give. CC integrated herself into this careful balancing act with surprising ease. She accompanied Naruto publicly, creating the impression of a developing relationship that provided both cover and a plausible explanation for his occasional distraction. Her mysterious background and foreign mannerisms became a topic of village gossip, exactly as intended, drawing attention away from his secret activities. But maintaining this complex deception took its toll. Naruto found himself increasingly compartmentalizing, the public hero, the shadow vigilante, and somewhere beneath both, the person he actually was, with doubts and fears he could share with almost no one. Only CC seemed to truly understand the strain. During rare quiet moments between operations, she would listen without judgment as he questioned their approach, the morality of Geass, whether the end truly justified their means. Lelouch struggled with similar questions, she told him one evening as they sat on his apartment roof, watching stars emerge above Konoha. He began with noble intentions, to create a gentler world for his sister. But the path twisted as it went. What happened to him? Naruto asked. CC rarely spoke of her previous contractor in detail. He became what he initially fought against, she said softly. A tyrant willing to sacrifice anything for his ultimate goal. Until finally, he sacrificed himself, becoming the world's villain so his death could unite everyone in peace. The Zero Requiem, Naruto remembered. You mentioned it before. CC nodded, golden eyes reflecting starlight. He orchestrated his own public assassination, died hated by all except the few who knew the truth. The world united in opposition to his memory, building a peace founded on shared relief at his downfall. That's... Naruto struggled to find words. Elegant? Horrifying? Both, perhaps, CC said. But it worked. A world torn by endless war found peace through shared hatred of a single figure. There has to be a better way, Naruto insisted. One that doesn't require someone becoming a monster, even as pretense. Perhaps, CC agreed. That's why I chose you after observing your world. You've always found paths others couldn't see. Her faith warmed something in Naruto that had grown cold during the weeks of deception and shadow warfare. Few people in his life had believed in him so completely, accepted both his strength and his doubts without trying to change either. I don't know if I can find a better path this time, he admitted. The council is everywhere, embedded in systems built over generations. And this masked leader remains completely protected despite everything we've tried. Every system has vulnerabilities, CC reminded him. Even the most elaborate protections have gaps, not in what they guard, but in what they assume doesn't need guarding. What do you mean? The mental seals protect the leader's identity directly, she explained. But perhaps there are indirect approaches that could reveal what direct questions cannot. Naruto considered this. Like asking about locations where the leader has been seen, rather than who they are. Exactly, CC nodded. Or patterns of behavior, communication methods, unique traits that might narrow possibilities without triggering protections. The conversation sparked new strategic thinking, but also deepened something else, the connection between them that had been gradually building. CC understood aspects of his burden that even Sasuke or Kakashi couldn't fully comprehend. She knew what it meant to walk between worlds, to carry power that isolated as much as it empowered. When her hand found his in the darkness, Naruto didn't pull away. In that moment of simple human contact, both the hero and the vigilante receded, leaving just the person beneath, tired, uncertain, but not alone. You're dating her, aren't you? Sakura demanded without preamble, cornering Naruto after a diplomatic briefing 2 days later. Dating who? Naruto asked, though he knew exactly whom she meant. Don't play dumb. Sakura crossed her arms. The green-haired woman who follows you everywhere now. CC or whatever she calls herself. We're close, Naruto admitted carefully. The cover story worked best if rooted in partial truth. It's complicated. So I see. Sakura's expression softened slightly. Just be careful, Naruto. Nobody knows anything about her. She appeared out of nowhere, and suddenly you're different, keeping secrets, disappearing at odd hours. I know how it looks, Naruto said. But CC isn't the reason for those changes. She's actually helped me through some difficult stuff lately. That much was entirely true. Without CC's guidance, he might have used Geass far less judiciously or become lost in the growing darkness of his Crimson Fox persona. If you say so. Sakura didn't look convinced. Just remember you have other friends who care about you. Friends who've been there since the beginning. The implied comparison stung, but Naruto understood her concern. From outside, it would indeed seem like he'd suddenly prioritized a mysterious stranger over lifelong bonds. I know, he assured her. And I'm grateful for that. More than you know. Sakura studied him for a moment longer, then sighed. Anyway, that's not why I stopped you. Sasuke's back from his reconnaissance mission. He's asking for you, says it's urgent. Naruto straightened immediately. Where is he? Training Ground 44. The old ANBU outpost. Sakura's eyes narrowed slightly. He said only you should come. More secrets, I guess. Sakura, save it, she interrupted, but without malice. Go do whatever important thing you two are working on. Just, come back to us when you can, okay? The real you. The comment followed Naruto as he made his way to the rendezvous point. The real him, as if he could even distinguish between his various selves anymore. Naruto Uzumaki the diplomat, the Crimson Fox the vigilante, the Geass wielder walking CC's path, which was real and which was mask had blurred increasingly over the weeks. He found Sasuke waiting in the abandoned outpost, maps and documents spread across a dusty table. What's so urgent? Naruto asked without preamble. I found something, Sasuke replied, pushing a document forward. Medical records from a specialized facility in the Land of Water. A patient receiving treatments for a degenerative condition, a patient whose security detail matches council protocols exactly. Naruto examined the document. You think it's the leader? It fits what Hideo mentioned about a succession plan, Sasuke confirmed. This patient has been receiving increasingly frequent treatments for nearly a year. According to medical staff I questioned, their condition is terminal, perhaps 6 months remaining. That's why they're accelerating operations, Naruto realized. They're trying to reach a critical point in their unification protocol before the leadership transition. Exactly, Sasuke nodded. And it creates a vulnerability we can exploit. The facility is scheduled to administer another treatment 3 days from now. If the leader follows the established pattern, they'll arrive with security but without the full protection they might have in their primary location. Naruto considered the implications. A chance to finally confront them directly. Maybe even use Geass to end this. If we can bypass the mental seals, Sasuke cautioned. They've proven extremely resilient so far. Worth the risk, Naruto decided. Coordinate with Kakashi and Shikamaru. We need a complete operational plan within 48 hours. Sasuke nodded, then hesitated. There's something else. I encountered Hinata while returning to the village. Naruto tensed. And? She asked about you. About why you've been different lately. Sasuke's dark eyes held an uncharacteristic concern. She's worried, Naruto. They all are. And not without reason. I know, Naruto admitted. But what am I supposed to tell them? That I'm secretly a vigilante with mind control powers fighting a shadow organization? That I'm considering becoming the world's villain to save it? Sasuke raised an eyebrow. Is that what you're considering? Naruto hadn't meant to reveal that particular thought, one that had been growing since CC described Lelouch's Zero Requiem. The elegant, terrible solution of becoming what you fought against to unite everyone else. Maybe, he admitted. If we can't find another way to dismantle the council completely. If they're too embedded to root out conventionally. Becoming the enemy to unite the world against you, Sasuke said slowly. Sounds familiar. It's not like what Madara tried, Naruto objected. Not an allusion to force peace. Just, giving people a common enemy they can stand against together. Real choice, real unity. At the cost of everything you've worked for, Sasuke pointed out. Your dream of being Hokage, the respect you've earned, your bonds with everyone who cares about you. If that's the price for genuine peace. Naruto trailed off. Then you'd pay it, Sasuke finished for him. Of course you would. He closed the folder containing the medical records. Let's focus on the immediate mission first. We identify this leader, learn the full extent of their organization. Then we decide what sacrifices are actually necessary. Naruto nodded, grateful for Sasuke's pragmatic approach. 3 days. We'll finally see who's behind the mask. The specialized medical facility nestled in the misty mountains of Water Country appeared entirely ordinary, a rehabilitation center for wealthy patients recovering from various conditions. Its true specialization in treating rare degenerative disorders remained known to only a select clientele. The Crimson Fox observed from a forested ridge overlooking the approach road. Security patrols moved with subtle precision that belied their disguise as ordinary medical staff. These were trained shinobi maintaining an elaborate protective formation. Target vehicle approaching, came Sasuke's voice through the communicator. Black sedan with lead and follow cars. Matches the pattern from previous visits. Copy that, Naruto replied softly. Moving to position Alpha. The plan was precisely calibrated. Rather than attacking during the treatment, when the facility would be on highest alert, they would intercept the leader during departure, when security might relax slightly following a successful medical procedure. Naruto moved through the forest silently, positioning himself along the route the vehicles would take when leaving. Sasuke would create a diversion at a specific curve in the mountain road, forcing the convoy to stop in a location with limited visibility and escape options. Hours passed as they waited for the treatment to conclude. Intelligence suggested the procedure typically lasted approximately 4 hours. Near the end of that window, movement at the facility confirmed their target was preparing to depart. Convoy preparing to move, Sasuke reported. 3 vehicles, same configuration as arrival. Estimated departure in 5 minutes. Ready at intercept point, Naruto confirmed. The black vehicles emerged from the facility's underground garage, moving with practiced coordination along the winding mountain road. Naruto tracked their progress, timing his approach to coincide with Sasuke's planned diversion. Right on schedule, a controlled landslide blocked the road ahead of the convoy. The vehicles slowed, security personnel emerging to assess the obstacle. At precisely that moment, Sasuke triggered a secondary diversion behind them, effectively trapping the convoy in a narrow stretch of road bordered by steep forest on one side and a sheer drop on the other. Naruto moved instantly, dropping from the forest canopy directly onto the roof of the center vehicle. Before the security team could react, he had disabled the driver and front guard with precise strikes. Sasuke simultaneously engaged the security teams from the lead and follow vehicles, keeping them occupied. The rear door of the center car opened, not in panic, but with deliberate calm. A figure emerged slowly, leaning heavily on an ornate cane. Even in this vulnerable moment, they wore a mask, not the featureless one from the council meeting, but an elaborate design covering the upper portion of the face, leaving only the mouth and chin visible. The Crimson Fox, the figure observed, voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. I wondered when we would meet directly. Naruto maintained his position, alert for hidden weapons or jutsu. It's over. Your organization has been exposed, your operations compromised. Has it? Have they? The masked figure seemed almost amused. You've scratched the surface, nothing more. The council has weathered greater threats than one vigilante with unusual abilities. Your regional directors might disagree, Naruto countered. Those still alive, anyway. Replaceable pieces, the figure dismissed with a slight wave. The council endures because it isn't built around individuals but ideas. The recognition that true stability requires guidance stronger than democratic whims. Despite the tactical situation, the leader showed no fear, only the calm confidence of someone who had planned for every contingency. Including, Naruto realized, this very encounter. You wanted this meeting, he concluded aloud. You knew we were tracking the medical treatments. Of course, the leader acknowledged. Though I admit, I expected you sooner. The treatments have been quite real, you see. My condition doesn't afford me the luxury of elaborate deceptions in that particular regard. Naruto sensed danger in the leader's composed demeanor. This was not a cornered adversary but a predator allowing itself to be approached for its own reasons. Your unification protocol ends today, Naruto stated firmly. You're going to tell me everything, every operative, every planned operation, every resource at your disposal. The leader chuckled softly. Am I? Through your Geass, I presume. The power that compels absolute obedience. The masked face tilted slightly. Did CC not explain the limitations of that gift? The casual mention of both Geass and CC froze Naruto momentarily. The leader shouldn't know about either, unless the council had somehow identified him despite all precautions. I've had decades to study abilities far stranger than yours, the leader continued conversationally. Including the means to counter them. We'll see about that, Naruto replied, feeling Geass building behind his eye. He focused on the visible portion of the leader's face, the only target available. Tell me your true identity and the full extent of the council's operations. The crimson sigil flared to life, but instead of the expected red ring forming in the leader's eyes, something unexpected happened. A counter sigil seemed to flash briefly beneath the mask, and the leader merely smiled. An impressive attempt, they noted calmly. But as I said, some abilities can be countered, given sufficient knowledge and preparation. Naruto felt a surge of alarm. His Geass had failed, something CC had never suggested was possible. Who are you? He demanded, preparing to switch to conventional tactics. Someone who has watched you for a very long time, Naruto Uzumaki, the leader replied. From your days as an outcast child to your rise as the world's savior. Your potential has always been extraordinary, which is why I had such hopes when Hyobi approached you. The personal knowledge was disturbing, suggesting surveillance far more extensive than Naruto had suspected. Your plans won't succeed, Naruto warned. Even if you somehow counter my abilities, we know enough to dismantle your network piece by piece. Do you? The leader seemed genuinely curious. Tell me, in your pursuit of my organization, have you considered what fills the vacuum when we're gone? The borders that become contested, the resources suddenly fought over without our measured control. People will choose their own paths, Naruto insisted. Without manipulation. Such faith in humanity, the leader observed. Despite all evidence to the contrary throughout history. They leaned more heavily on their cane. But then, that has always been your particular gift, seeing the best in others even when it doesn't exist. Something about the leader's manner, the familiarity with which they spoke of him, the calm certainty in their voice, struck Naruto as disturbingly familiar. Before he could pursue that thought, Sasuke's voice came urgently through the communicator, multiple chakra signatures approaching from the south, high level, moving fast. Council reinforcements. The leader's slight smile confirmed they'd anticipated this too. It seems our conversation must be cut short. A pity, there's so much more I hope to discuss. You're not going anywhere, Naruto stated, moving to block any escape. On the contrary, the leader replied. I've learned what I needed from this encounter. Your Geass is impressive but limited, and now I know precisely how to counter it. With surprising speed for someone apparently ill, the leader formed a single-handed seal. The ground beneath them shimmered with a transportation jutsu unlike any Naruto had encountered, not just the leader but the entire vehicle began to glow with activating symbols. Until we meet again, the leader said as the jutsu activated. Perhaps next time you'll be ready to discuss more reasonable solutions than this futile opposition. Naruto lunged forward, but too late, the transportation jutsu completed, taking the leader and vehicle with it. Only a lingering trace of chakra remained to prove they had been there at all. Sasuke appeared beside him moments later, breathing hard from his engagement with the security teams. "They're gone." "Some kind of advanced transportation jutsu," Naruto confirmed, frustration evident in his voice. "They knew we were coming. They wanted this meeting." "And the Geass?" "Failed completely," Naruto admitted. "They had some kind of countermeasure ready, knew exactly what they were facing." Sasuke's expression darkened. "Then we have a security breach. Someone close to the operation has been compromised." The implications were disturbing. Only a handful of people knew about Geass, about CC, about the Crimson Fox's true identity. If one of them had been turned or was feeding information to the council. "We need to move," Sasuke urged as distant figures appeared on the horizon, the reinforcements he'd detected. "That's at least 8 Jounin-level chakra signatures approaching fast." Naruto nodded, shelving his questions for later. They retreated into the forest, using Sasuke's space-time ninjutsu to transport them beyond the pursuit range once they reached a safe distance. The mission had failed, worse than failed. Instead of capturing the leader, they had revealed their hand while learning almost nothing in return. The leader had countered Geass, demonstrated intimate knowledge of their operation, and escaped without difficulty. For the first time since becoming the Crimson Fox, Naruto felt truly outmaneuvered. The council wasn't just one step ahead, they had anticipated moves he hadn't even considered yet. As he and Sasuke made their way back toward Fire Country, one question burned above all others: how had the leader known about Geass? About CC? The possibilities narrowed to an uncomfortable few: either someone in their inner circle had betrayed them, or the council's intelligence capabilities far exceeded anything they had estimated. Either way, the war against the shadows had just become significantly more dangerous. "Impossible," CC stated flatly when Naruto described what had happened. "Geass cannot be countered directly. Its power operates on a level beyond conventional chakra or jutsu." They had gathered in Kakashi's secure office: Naruto, CC, Sasuke, Shikamaru, and the Hokage himself. The failed operation had shaken their confidence and raised critical security questions. "I know what I saw," Naruto insisted. "Some kind of counter-sigil appeared when I activated Geass. The command had no effect whatsoever." "Which means they know far more about Geass than they should," Kakashi observed. "Knowledge that should be limited exclusively to this room." The implication hung heavily in the air, that someone present might be compromised. "Or there's another explanation," CC suggested after a moment. "One I hesitate to consider, but which fits the evidence." All eyes turned to her. "In my world, I wasn't the only one who could grant Geass," she explained reluctantly. "There were others, code-bearers like myself, who could form contracts with humans." "You think someone else from your world is here?" Naruto asked, surprised. "Another, whatever you are." "It's unlikely but possible," CC admitted. "The dimensional experiment that brought me here could have affected others similarly. If another code-bearer arrived earlier and aligned with this council, they could have granted Geass to the leader," Sasuke concluded. "Or taught them how to resist it. It would explain the leader's familiarity with both Geass and CC," Shikamaru noted. "Without requiring a betrayal from within our group." "But it raises more questions than it answers," Kakashi pointed out. "If another being like CC exists in our world, where have they been? Why align with this council?" "Code-bearers have their own agendas," CC said simply. "Most seek contractors who might eventually fulfill their wish, release them from their burden." "What burden?" Naruto asked. CC hesitated before answering. "Immortality. The inability to die, to rest, to find peace. It's the price of bearing a code." The revelation stunned Naruto. He'd known. CC was different, ancient somehow, but immortal. Unable to die even if she wanted to. You're saying you can't be killed? Shikamaru asked skeptically. My body can be destroyed temporarily, CC clarified. But it regenerates. I have lived for centuries, watching contractors rise and fall, seeking one who might finally release me. And that's why you gave me Geass? Naruto questioned, a new understanding dawning. To eventually free you from immortality? Partly, CC acknowledged. But also because I believed you would use the power wisely, better than most I've encountered across time. The personal revelation threatened to derail their strategic discussion. Kakashi gently redirected them. Regardless of whether another code bearer exists here, our immediate concern is the leader's knowledge of our operations, he said. We need to assume maximum compromise and adjust accordingly. Change all protocols, Sasuke suggested. New communication methods, different safe houses, limited information sharing even among ourselves. And we need to accelerate our efforts, Naruto added. The leader mentioned their condition is genuine, terminal within months. That gives us a narrow window before this succession plan activates. Which means the Crimson Fox needs to become more. Something went wrong with this response, please try again. Begin the next chapter right now. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.